if I would have stayed in South Central, if I'd have stayed on that block, I would have never been who I was. So it's like when I go back to that area and I see how it's just locked in time, people clearly haven't changed. Mm-hmm. Like when I go visit my family, this and that, they still got that LA mentality. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? They still got that LA lingo and everything. It's crazy how I think. Either I feel like I would have been, if I was still in LA, I definitely would have been on some gangbanging, or the typical everybody says I would have been in jail or I would have had multiple kids. I feel like me, I would have just had hella kids, been on some typical sit out on the porch, reminisce, go buy Arizonas in a bag of chips, redo the same every day. And I'm just like, man, I'm so glad I escaped.
Those Arizonas get the hood going crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just so much sugar. I remember when I first moved to New York and started going to the skate park every day and would just see these kids just buying these $1 Arizonas and just realizing like, yo, y'all drink like 4 of those things in a day. Like, you know how much sugar that would be? Like, that's terrifying. Like, you're killing yourself for that.
A honey bun, the ghetto snack is a honey bun, or you got to get a purple colored drink, a red colored drink, a blue colored drink, or orange colored drink.
Your food groups.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just what you see on every hood vlog. They go grab a honey bun, grab some Swishers, and they grab some sort of a colored drink.
So you're interested enough to want to see the hood vlogs and but you don't personally have any interest in living that.
Going back? Nah, because you're just stuck. Like, I went there, I checked out my old block, I want to say maybe 2021. And it's crazy because once I got over there again, I just knew how to navigate it so easy. I'm like, damn, I dangerously remember this area like it was yesterday. So I'm just, you know, you make it out of a situation and you're just like glad your future was altered. I wouldn't have been who I am today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So everything happened every time I fought, every time I went this way instead of right, every time I switched schools. I went to like 9 different schools in LA.
It's crazy that fighting games helped you get there.
I know.
It was the start of it.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
I remember playing Mortal Kombat 2 till my fucking thumbs bled.
Yeah. Damn. So you were playing the arcade?
Nah, I had like a Super Nintendo controller.
Oh, okay, yeah. Damn, MK2 and SNES. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
And I watched a YouTube video the other day about how when you played it in the arcade, and it's like the first 2 matches were always hella easy, and then like the third dude would just annihilate you. And they like broke down how, no, like every single time you like jump and kick the opponent or whatever, this thing happens in the games that basically like supersedes whatever control you tried to put in, and like basically made me realize that all those years I spent trying to beat Mortal Kombat 2 in the arcade where it was never going to happen.
Yeah, the computer reads you. It's designed to read you.
That's fucked up.
They don't make fighting games like that anymore. They make fighting games now to the point where if you're playing it for 3 weeks, you have the power to beat me.
Really?
Yeah. It's a casual industry now.
But there aren't goats in the game? Like players who are just absolutely unbelievable?
Goats, but if we're talking about like casual, like they make it so that a casual that never played this particular game before can beat a GOAT.
Do you resent that?
I mean, yeah.
Them just making the games like kind of too friendly for the passive consumer?
Yeah, that's why I don't fuck with them like that anymore. It's just like, if I know that I could beat you in an older, more difficult game, but you could beat me in an easier, more, you know, game that's just ABC 1, 2, 3, it just turns me off. Yeah, so just like me cutting on Street Fighter right now, just thinking about it, I have an attitude. Just if I cut on Street Fighter 6, there's an attitude.
Do you think they just fucked up the franchise permanently because it's just more marketable for them to have it be easier?
I mean, as far as like on a grand scale, no, but on a lower scale, as far as difficulty and like that dense, only the best could do it.
Right.
That shit is out the window. Like you still got some of the best, but for the most part, now it changes up and shakes things up a little bit more. Because like I said, somebody could be better than you in 90 days.
You know what I have a real problem with? Puzzle games. So Tetris stole a huge percentage of my life.
Yeah, I'm good at Tetris.
There used to be a game called Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo or some shit for PlayStation.
I remember that.
Wasted so much of my life on that for a period of time. And then just last night, I found out about this thing called the Watermelon Game.
What's that?
I'm scrolling through YouTube, and there's a Tetris player named fucking Tafo, who I'm still subscribed to, and I just see that he's playing this game called the Watermelon Game, and it's basically like bunch of fruits that fall down and they join together, and there's a whole evolution chart of like if two red cherries come together, they form an apple, and the two apples come together and it forms a melon. And the goal is like to go through that evolution of joining all these pieces together till you get a watermelon, which is the biggest fruit you can get. And then if you get two watermelons and they touch, boom, they disappear. And therefore you could play the game infinitely if you were able to really just keep getting watermelons over and over and over. And then I searched it and I found a video of Ludwig playing it. So I guess it is kind of a thing and it's having a moment right now.
Yeah.
I found out about it last night and proceeded to immediately play it for like 3-4 hours straight and ended up going to bed late because I just couldn't stop fucking playing. And it really feels like crack.
It's on PC?
It's on Switch and I think all the systems and stuff, but then you can also just go to type the watermelon game into Google and it just comes right up, and it's kind of like a weird, not as good physics version of it, because like that's part of it is the pieces are falling together and they're like bouncing and the pieces are like falling all over the place. It's got like very cool physics engine or whatever to it that definitely adds like another element to it, but I'm just so susceptible to that.
Sounds like Bejeweled.
It's kind of, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
But the physics engine has all the pieces sort of very like dynamically like falling together and stuff.
Dynamic. Okay.
They're all like rolling all over the place and shit like that. It's like, I just have a real problem when I like a video game. It just steals my life from me.
I think I'm going to try it now.
That's why when the Zelda came out, the new Zelda a couple months ago or whatever, I was just like, I'm not doing it. I can't give up this much of my life. Like it's going to rob me of months of my life.
That's why if I'm not streaming, I'm not gaming. That's just my thing. I'm not streaming, I'm not gaming.
I'm not good enough at Zelda to play it on stream.
Yeah.
When you play a game on stream, you start to realize how good you are or about how bad you are.
People like me to fuck up. That's my thing. They want to see me fail at everything. So when I'm playing a game, they want me to die. They want me to lose. Like that's been my niche. They don't want me to win. If I win, it's boring.
Because you used to always play like the least desirable characters, right? And is that where the low tier god thing came from?
That's where it came from, yeah. It all started with that. I would play the lower tier characters like, damn, okay, then I'm the low tier god.
So who's the weak ass characters in Street Fighter usually?
Depends. In today's day and age, probably like any DLC characters.
Okay.
Like mostly DLC characters. Usually the legacy characters are still the ones that still work. You know, Ken, Ryu, Guile, stuff like that. But yeah, anything that's DLC has the potential to be either really busted or horrible.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to know how deep my stripes go in the fighting game community, which I've actually never had any involvement in. But when I was in like 3rd grade, I wrote a letter to Nintendo Power magazine.
Oh shit, Nintendo
explaining why Dhalsim was the best Street Fighter character. And I think this was like the era where like Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 2 Turbo would have been like the main game or whatever. And I basically said in the letter, in my like, 9-year-old brain or whatever, I was like, Dhalsim is clearly the best character because he can stretch his arms out and he can breathe fire.
Damn.
And they published that.
Oh, they published it.
I get the idea. I was not right.
Yeah. I mean, nah, that's the name of the game to this day. When you play them, that's what it is.
This is all about the stretchy arms and the fire.
Exactly. You can't get past that character. If somebody's a guru with that character, good luck.
That's just crazy to me. I got my letter published. That was like the biggest thrill ever to me at that point in my life.
You got to find that magazine and frame it.
Yeah, I because like somebody uploaded like the full archive of Nintendo Power, and I went and found it at one point a few years back. I would have to do it all over again. I think it was a Street Fighter cover.
It's
if anybody
eBay.
wants to find it.
Anything you want is on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it.
What do you think the future of video games is? Because it's like every once in a while you see, okay, like the first person shooter thing gets like revolutionized by Fortnite and the battle royale format and everything. Mm-hmm. Is that ever going to happen again to fighting games, or are fighting games just kind of like destined to be this sort of niche category forever?
I think it'll be a niche forever, fighting games, because it's not a broad enough spectrum. So, I mean, how do you really turn a fighting game into anything battle royale, you know? So it's just like, I feel like fighting games are always going to be stuck in that particular category, but that's why they started making them easier, because they want more people to play. So when you dumb down the fighting game, now you have somebody that was alienated before feel like, okay, now I could play this shit too.
Right.
So that's why they make the fighting games easier now, because they're trying to make them more mainstream instead of stuck in a particular category.
It's like, what could they possibly do to really switch things up to make it more marketable? It's kind of hard to think of like where the genre would go that would make it have a wider appeal, like the way that Fortnite was able to kind of capture a lot of people who never really like or who thought that they were done with first-person shooters and stuff.
Well, what they're doing is modern controls. So modern controls, I press 2 buttons instead of doing directional, and a button. Now I just press 2 buttons for a super.
Really?
So yeah, that's what every fighting game is doing now. There's modern controls.
And do you feel like that takes a lot away from it?
I mean, yeah, but that's what the companies want because I mean they got to make their money. So if you could play with modern controls and I got to play traditional and you could beat me with modern, that's the goal. They want more people to play that never played fighting games before to be able to beat you with 2 buttons, 1 button. As fucked up as it sounds, that's the name of the game.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, everything has modern controls. Tekken, Street Fighter, all of it. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, well, actually, does Mortal Kombat have it? Nah, they just made their game easier.
But okay, you tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like, because like my kid's real into Mario, so sometimes I'll put on fucking videos of people playing like the more recent Mario games.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like you never see a side-to-side scroller Mario game anymore. It's all like some weird 3D thing where you could travel into the background or whatever. But then at a certain point, people were acting like, oh, now it's Tekken, like, 2D fighting games are over. But then that doesn't feel like it really panned out, right? Like all the popular fighting games now are 2D.
Yeah, I mean, the only popular 3D fighting game is Tekken.
Right.
That's it. But that's been the marquee 3D fighting game. I mean, there was a bunch of trash 3D fighting games in the past, but
Right.
I mean, the one that stood the stands of time is
But it's just a
Tekken.
camera angle anyway, right?
I mean, it's different movements. It's not just back and forth like a sidestep.
Oh, you could
like,
sidestep, yeah. Okay.
yeah, like I'm not gonna beat anybody who's a professional Tekken pro. Like it's not gonna happen unless I'm just really playing with those type of players all the time. So Tekken over time has kept that thing about it where it's just not built for norms unless you really go in the lab and really play with these top players.